Everybody, this is Brian Hatch, founder of Already Big, and I wanted to jump into one of the things that comes up quickly when people learn a little more about my marketing background with email marketing specifically. And so it is really, what should an email look like? Now, if you're ever going to send an email out for your company, for your business, for your products or service, whatever it is you offer as a business, there are some best practices of email, and I want to run through those. I want to actually show you some examples of this as well. But first, I want to show you just hear me clearly, understand what an email should look like. And you can imagine this without even seeing a visual. I want you to first think, no matter if you're a business that you don't have a personality behind you, like a Nike, you're a brand, people understand, or at least your customers understand that you're a brand, you're not a human being or a personality behind your brand. But on the other side of the fence, even if you are a personal brand, that people recognize who you are, the face of the company, this really makes a difference. Because email marketing, if you're avoiding it, you are losing out on a lot of opportunities. So I think that we already understand that. Hopefully you understand that. If you don't, it's time that you get on board with email marketing. But one of the things you need to realize is, what should your emails look like? Many times over, I always have to explain this to business owners and remind them of hey, I don't believe in marketing that I'm trying to be sneaky or tricky or rude or mean or wrong or in your face. I want to bring the message to the people that need it most, and with the least amount of friction, so they can buy the thing they need to solve a problem they have. That's the marketing that I believe in. If you don't believe in that type of marketing, then maybe you want help elsewhere. That's fine. But when you think about that perspective, if you have a great product or service and the people that need it, and you're solving a problem for them that really, really bothers them or makes a difference for them, then it's logical that you need to use the right tactics. And 101 email marketing is to make sure that your emails go to the person that you want it to, that they actually see it in their inbox and they can open it when they want to, right? But what I find is that some people treat their emails as if they were websites. That's a massive problem in my opinion, because if your email looks like a website, what are you trying to do? You see, the email marketing that I believe in and that I want you to think about is, if you are going to send an email to someone that knows, likes, and trusts you, okay? So take business out of it. This is just, now think of a personal email. If you're going to send an email to someone who knows, likes, and trusts you, and you're going to ask them to do something, right? Even if it's hey, come on this trip with me, or hey, can you donate, or it's not even business related, but just a personal, you need a favor, you need to ask a favor for your friend, right? How is that email going to look? And what are you going to say in that email, right? So I want you to think of first of what it's going to look like. If you're going to send that email to a person, ask them to do something for you, a favor of a friend, the email is going to look like this: white background, black text, maybe your name at the bottom, or signature block if you're real technical, but usually dash your name, something very simple, right? And then ask them whatever you need to ask them, but that's how it's going to look. Well, think about that in a business perspective. If you are trying to get a message in front of an audience that loves you, likes you, or knows you, wouldn't it make sense that you're going to send an email like that as well? I'm not trying to be tricky or sneaky or trying to get my message out. No, but if this customer, this person, this prospect understands what I offer, and they understand that I'm going to help them solve a problem that they have, then it doesn't feel pushy or crazy or nuts. It's a white background, black text. So just note, if you have all these imagery and headers and footers and I'll get to that. There's all of this crazy that makes it look like a website. You're going to be landing in a promotions tab. You're going to be landing in a spam inbox. You're not going to make it to the inbox of a lot of people you want to. That's the first thing. Make it look like you care about them and they care about you. Because if it doesn't look like that, then it looks like you are a business trying to push something upon them that they may or may not be interested in doing, right? So just note that. Make it simple. Now, that's number one. Number two part of the visual of your email is the very top of a lot of email marketing platforms says view in web browser. And I even saw one that didn't used to do that, and now they do that. I understand that there are people that need that or want that or think that that's important. It just automatically flags you as a marketing email. It doesn't look like personal. It doesn't look like you know or like or trust this person. It looks like you're spamming them in some way, shape, or form. So get rid of that. If the marketing platform you use puts that in there automatically, find a way to delete it, because it's not helping you. It's not useful to you to get in the inbox of your customer, of your prospect. Okay. So that's the number 2 thing you need to make sure you remove. Now, in the email as well, to be able to get like kind of our third bullet point here of like email best practices of what you need to be able to do is first, you need to realize that you need to address somebody. And that's personalization at its core. Everybody knows this. You can merge in people's names into the email. That's commonplace, but you need to do that. But you can also merge in other things in that email. One of the things you can do in that paragraph of it is if you're going to follow up with people that used to be customers or that haven't bought with you in a long time, you can maybe put a blurb in something that you know about them, right? Like, hey, Brian, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you since fill in the blank of the time or day or whatever it is. You personalize it in a different way than what most people are doing out there. Some email capabilities don't allow you to do that, and I get that, but I still want to put that out there as one of the things you can do in your email marketing to make it better is just personalize the email in some way, shape, or form that shows them their name, but also if you can add in something else like where you last saw them or when they last came to your site or something that's not big brotherish but actually lets them know that you know who they are and they're not just a number, that really makes a difference in people's lives, okay? But secondarily, you need to make sure you open that email with something that actually engages them, okay? Now, we'll talk about the subject line in just a minute, but the actual body of the email, what does the first line say? And if it's boring, if it's not interesting, or if it's not really helping them understand how what you're going to talk about benefits them, they're not going to pay attention. I mean, literally, copywriters out there that are spending many, many, many hours on just a single email know that they've got to have that first line's got to sell the second line, it's got to sell the third line, it's got to sell the fourth line until someone reads and actually clicks and does what you want them to do. But at the same token, if you can just get that first opening, like it's something intriguing, interesting, something that matters to them and speaks the language that they speak, you'll actually get traction with your emails and actually take the next step. Next part is to make sure you understand the purpose of the email. The purpose of the email is to make sure that they do something, right? Some emails are designed to get someone to reply. It's a wonderful call to action. Some emails are designed to get someone to click on the link, and that's the most common one, is to click the link. It doesn't have to be that maybe buy, maybe click the link and watch a blog, click the link and read the rest of this post, or whatever it is, it's click the link, right? That's an important thing that some people just give them all the information and say, blah, here's the stuff. Even their customers, if you want to train your audience to do something, then do it within your emails. So the call to action needs to be simple, but it needs to be one singular call to action. You need to get people trained on that you're going to have them do something. And that matters, okay? Now, in the subject line, there's a few things that have come up in email that really matter. I mean, there's algorithms out there that are going to spam, and there's every day more and more robots in the Gmails and Yahoos and all kind of fun email addresses out there in the world that are trying to find who's a spammer, who's a marketer, get them out of the inbox of the person that they love, because that's their customer. They're trying to block you and your business from their user, even though their user opted in for it. And that's the funny thing, isn't it? But the subject line shouldn't have a ton of exclamation points, because it shouldn't have a ton of punctuation. Like, it just shouldn't have a lot of periods, exclamation points, quotations. The fewer of those things you can do, the better your emails will be actually in the inbox, which is nice. But secondarily, use the word you. I like the word get. But if you can use something that benefits the person in that statement, it's wonderful. There are subject lines that I like more than other ones, and I'm not going to necessarily list all of those, because depending on where you are in the context of your conversation with the person you're working with, you may or may not want to use those. So I'm not going to just list those arbitrarily, because they are specific to unique instances, okay? But your subject line needs to be benefit driven. It needs to make sense that it's actually going to help the person that's going to read it. That's what gets them to open the email. Once they open the email needs to look like it looks, like I've talked to you, and it needs to sound like you care about them and be personalized if you possibly can make that happen. I'll show you a couple examples now, but I want you to know that that is the best way to make an email work and run in a way that's going to benefit you and your business, but also make it sure that the people, the prospects, and the customers you have actually know that you care about them. Now, I recognize there are a million tools out there to send emails, and they're not all the same. And this I'm pulling up inside of a straightforward Gmail. But I want you to get a feel for what an email should look like. And this is it. Now, here you have a subject line. Your subject line, remember that your subject line, the point of a subject line is to get people to open the email. Okay? There's no other reason for a subject line besides getting people to open the email. Because if they don't open the email, what is the purpose of sending one to them? Now, So it needs to be intriguing, needs to be engaging, needs to get them interested, needs to also preview what you're going to talk about. So I recognize that your subject line should connect really well with the content of your email, but there are a million emails and email subject lines that you could use. Some are great, some are not great, but think again of being personal. Many cases and many email platforms allow you to put the person's name inside of the subject line, which is a good idea some of the times. I don't believe that it's something that anything is carte blanche should do every time, but it's something you can do. But here you want to address them by their name. So if you can merge that information in, that's great. There's other software out there that allow you to merge other things in. Like you can merge in a whole paragraph about a person, like, hey, it was nice to meet you at the event, or to see you at that place, and then it can get into the email. That is actually one of the best ways to make your emails awesomely phenomenal, is to have a paragraph about every person that is there. Now, I also recognize that a lot of times that we get people to opt in with their name and email address, we don't know anything else about them. So then having a paragraph about something like that doesn't really work. So note that not every automation practice or tip or trick could actually be used, but no, there's just great ways to personalize it. So as I go here, I want you to see again, there's white space. There's space in between the paragraphs. If you saw an email and it was all bunched up together, I want you to see how this looks really quickly. And if this was the email that you sent or received from somebody, it would be harder for your brain to see and to pay attention to. It just simply is. A big long paragraph like this may be something that your friend would send you. I recognize that. But we still want to make sure that they read it. And so the readability of an email needs to be like this. Now, some people will fight me on this and say you don't need to have spaces between every single sentence. And that's okay. If you want to have a couple sentences put together, then that's okay too. I prefer them to be simple because for the brain it is very much easier to read an email like this as you see it than it was before. And so I want people to grasp what I'm telling them, what I'm talking to them about. And typically, if you think about just email and written communication courtesy, when you're sending an email to a friend, you typically don't put it all in one paragraph. Even in a text message, you don't do that. So why would you do that inside of an email? Now, the other thing that's important to note is you need to have a link in an email. The purpose of an email is to get people to click the link, the content here, right? The subject line gets them to open. The email content should get them to click. And so you should have a very clear way for them to click. Now, because most people are on their mobile devices and over 70% of traffic, in the research that I've done, not across every platform in the world, but typically most traffic is looked at, most emails are looked at via mobile. And so to have a little tiny link that is just text isn't always the best way to do it, because it's still hard for their finger. Maybe their finger doesn't hit it, depending on the size of the text that you're sending them. So I do recommend using a button of some sort. So if you have a button that you can create or make or use, that is useful, even if it's on a desktop or it's on a mobile device. A button is easier to click, it's bigger, it's bolder, it gets people's attention a lot more, and so I like to have them. Now, if I don't use the link here that we've got in this email, and I use the button, then I'll use the button there. But in the bottom of the email, I will use a PS and have a link there that is a typical hyperlink. Because some email platforms don't always render your image the right way or your button, depending on what platform you're using. So I do like to have abilities for people to click on links and buttons. I think it's a smart thing to do, and it has proven to be very useful for the business I've worked with. Now, if you want to steal some of this copy, that's fine. But the idea of the email is that I want to talk to the person as they are, as I know them. I talk to business owners. I work with business owners that are struggling to get everything done, automate it, make money, keep everything going, whatever level they're at. And so for me, I want to talk to that person specifically about the challenges they might be seeing. And I also want to say, hey, you don't have to go it alone. You have a chance to link arms with someone that can help you, and that's what my team does, right? So I want to talk to them about where they're at. Tell them an opportunity that comes from, engaging, whether it's some free content I'm giving out, something else I'm doing, and then say, hey, it could be better.
But if you don't change something, then you're going to get what you've already received, right? So there's some strategy there on what you want it to say, and that's a message for another day. But your email should emotionally draw people in to make them want to click. Again, we're talking to people that ideally want the product or service and would use the product or service that we're going to give them. And so I see it no problem to do our best to get someone to click to our page. And notice I don't give a ton of detail. I don't tell you all the things you're going to get. I don't tell you how it's going to work. I don't tell you the program you can sign up for. I don't tell you all that stuff in the email. I want you to click to my site so I can know that you're interested. And then from there we go. A PS is a really, really valid way to continue a conversation, add a more bonus, add something else, and say, hey, I want to make sure you know this too. That will usually help your audience engage. So again, this is what an email should look like, because this is what emails look like. If you are making your email look like a website or something else, then just think again and realize that this is how your friends and family are going to send you an email. Now, I recognize that we're not their friend or family in most cases, and we're not trying to be sneaky or tricky. It's just a matter of let's meet them in the way that they're already receiving emails. Let's meet them there, as opposed to trying to change their persona and make it all website-y and tons of images, all kind of stuff. It just doesn't do justice and service. I've seen emails like this convert far better than ones that have 15 pictures and a lot of cool things and imagery that's really heavy and awesome. So that is what an email should look like.
And this is just one small way to automate big.